Welcome everybody to my latest video. And as you can see, we got my Multi Jamma arcade cabinet here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Actually first, in case you forgot which games I have on here, I got WrestleFest, Sunset Riders. Sorry for the little glare in the background. I got the garage door open. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This one is, yes, Three Wonders. Really great game. Which one is this? Yes, UN Squadron, also known as Area 88. And one more. I know. Come on, load up. X-Men. Now these are all legit boards. Unfortunately I don't have the Punisher. Maybe one day I will. But these are all legit boards played on one cabinet. Not that there's anything wrong with a Pandora's box or MAME or any type of emulator. If you're into that, great. I actually like the Pandora's box version 4, which I have on this cabinet. But for me, there's nothing like having the original hardware. Some people can understand that, some can't. You know, hey, it's like baseball card collecting. You want an original Mickey Mantle baseball card versus a reproduction, even though it's the exact same picture. Anyways, getting back to the point. All legit boards on one cabinet. You want to know how I did that? Well, basically I used a 6-slot Jamma switcher. What is that? Well, I'll show you. Give me 1 second. Okay, so here we are. And so you could get a better picture, I had to move my arcade cabinet around. Hopefully you can see everything. Now, again, this cabinet runs 6 great games, all using legit hardware. Now, the problem with arcade cabinets in general is you can usually only have one game in the arcade cabinet without having to reach around or reach inside to switch out the game board. Personally, I like... Holy crap, there's a lot of dust on one of my other arcades. Alright. Anyways. Personally, I like the Dynamo cabinets. I really like this cabinet the best. My Street Fighter cabinet. There's my dog. The problem with this cabinet is, in order to get access to the game board, you have to flip down the control panel, pull out a big piece of wood, and that's where the game board rests. Real easy to do, but it's a hassle when you want to, change games. And you don't want to be doing that very often, just because. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but what I mean is the hassle-wise. Now, this has all 6 games on it, and you saw that I switched them very quickly and easily. How did I do that? Well, I did that because of this bad boy right here. You see that green board right there? That is a 6-slot Jamma switcher. Now, what you do, see if we get a better look. You can see it's got 1, 2, okay. Well, probably gonna be kind of hard to understand because I got the flashlight in my mouth while I'm pointing this out. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are 6 slots. Now, What you're supposed to do is actually put your game board in those slots. The problem is, once you do that, you got game boards that wiggle back and forth. Some are heavier than the others, and it's kind of a hassle. You know, you're always wondering, are your boards okay? Now, I got 6 games. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one's 3 Wonders. I think that one is Area 88. That's that's WrestleFest. That one I think is X-Men, Sunset Riders, and that's Ninja Turtles. Alright. Now, although I like the Dynamo cabinets, like I said, they're a hassle, and it's hard to get in the back. Usually, you don't really have easy access. So if you want to turn your cabinet into a Multi Jamma cab, or if you want to make a Multi Jamma cab, it's much better and easier to get a really big cabinet. And you can see this thing takes up a lot of space, but that also means that there's tons of space on the inside and easy access to the back. So those type of cabinets are Midway cabs, Konami cabs. It'll work on this process will work on any cabinet. It's just a matter of getting your games in there. So, I know I kind of got off track, but yeah, there's the Jamma switcher. These are all the Jamma boards. As you can see, right there, this thing. Don't worry about all this. This is just a mess from the original Mortal Kombat harnesses. Yeah, I still got all that in here. I don't want to tear it out, just in case for some reason I get into Mortal Kombat and I want to convert this cabinet back. But there's your Jamma switcher. That gets hooked up just like a regular PCB. In all the other slots, I have Jamma extension harnesses. And if you don't know what that is, I have a video on those. Those extension harnesses go from the slots to the actual PCB that's going to be played. So it's a really nice concept. This board, this 6-slot switcher, that's going to cost you anywhere, I'd say, if you're lucky, well, the board by itself without modifications, and I'll get to that in a minute, it's going to cost you at least $125, if not $150. Then there's some modifications which I would highly suggest that you do, and I'll get to those in a minute. But the extension harnesses, those are like what, another $15, $10 to $15. So there really is a lot of money here if you count all the boards, the extension harnesses, the switcher, and then now the modifications. So how does this work? Well, you know what a switcher is. I've even had a couple videos on Jamma switchers. The difference between a 2-switcher or 2-slot switcher and this 6-slot, well, the games that are, double for 2 games, those power up both games at the exact same time. And the way you switch between those is with a little button. And you know what? Let me get to that right now. I got one in storage. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this right here, this is probably the most common type of Jamma switcher people are going to buy. One of the reasons is because it's cheap. You can get these for probably less than $50. And it works just the same as this one in terms of you put your Jamma harness in there, and you can put an extension here and here. An extension harness, and then attach the harness to your board. The problem with these, and although they have a great advantage right here in terms of VGA, the problem with this type is it powers on both games at the exact same time. So let's just say you got Ninja Turtles and Sunset Riders. You power on the system, you put in a coin, or you press start, and you press left for 3 seconds. The characters on both those games are going to be going left for 3 seconds. So you can actually play both games just by switching back and forth. Now, how do you switch between the games? Well, with a little button like this. You just usually reach inside, switch back and forth. Now, how is that different from this? Where's my flashlight? Alright, 1 second, god damn it. Okay, so, there's, I just finished telling you about the other switcher. This type of switcher, this only powers up one board at one time. When you switch games, the current board that's powered up will then be powered down or power cut off, and then the power will go on to the next board. So, you really don't want all your boards powered on at the same time, just because the excessive amount of heat that it will create, and it's just not necessary. So that's why I like this board. Not that there's anything wrong with this one, and there are more expensive, higher slots. I think there's another switcher that's 6 slot, and that's even more expensive. It's probably made a better quality, but this video will cover this particular switcher. Now, talk about modifications. Well, there's certain modifications you may want. This board has 2. One of them is a negative 5 volt modification. If you find a store that sells this switcher, they should have an option for a negative 5 volt modification. And the place I used to go to, the place called JammaBoards.com, unfortunately, this place is not up and running anymore. The owner passed away due to cancer. He was a very a very nice guy, very professional, and it's a sad case. We lost someone, within this hobby, and unfortunately, that source for parts is now no longer available. But when he was selling these, he would do a negative 5 volt for 1 slot, 2 slots, all the way up to all 6 slots. Now, what is a negative 5 volt mod? Well, here's how I can describe it, easy. Some games, when you hook them up, the harness to the power supply and the harness to the board uses negative 5 volts. It'll use, positive 12, positive 5, and negative 5. Some boards don't use negative 5. How do you know which one does and doesn't? Look on your arcade manual. If you still don't know, think of it like this. If you have a game that was made, I think it's past 1992, chances are it has the negative 5 need. Now, what is the actual mod? Well, it's basically... probably can't see any of it. It's basically just, soldering on some wires to do certain things. And what it does is basically solders a wire from the negative 5 volt on the connection to the board to each additional connection. Do you need it? Well, like I said, for some games, yes. I have all slots with the negative 5 negative 5 volt mod. If your board does not need it, and you insert the board with the modification for that particular slot, is anything bad going to happen? No, absolutely not. It will not affect your board. But if your board does have the need for negative 5 voltage, and you don't have that mod, your board is not going to work correctly. So, how much does the mod cost? I think it'll range anywhere between an extra $10 per slot to an extra, $20 per slot. Some people on KLOV, they'll actually do this for you for free. You send it to them. If they have time, when they have time, they'll do it for free because they like to help people. But yeah, it can cost, it can add on to the cost. I would recommend getting it because you never know when you're going to have the need to have the negative 5. So just go ahead and get it. Now, there's another mod. How do you switch games? Well, that particular switcher comes with a little remote. I don't have the remote because, well, got the mod. I don't know what the mod is called. I'll try and look it up when I post this video, but basically, without the mod, you have a little remote, you press a button, it switches to the next slot. Well, some people don't like that remote. Excuse me. Because it's just, it's like that. It's about this big, it can get lost, it can get damaged. If it breaks and you don't know how to repair it, you're kind of screwed. So, this particular board has another mod. Again, sorry I don't know the name of it. I will try and look it up. Look it up yourself. But to switch games, what you do is you actually press both player 1 and player 2 start buttons at the exact same time, and it will switch to the next game. So just like this. For me, it's not a problem. If you have kids, little kids who like to play your arcade cabinet and you're thinking of doing this, the one problem might be when they're both pressing start at the same time because both their characters died at the same time, they might accidentally reboot the next game or boot up the next game. So that's about the only bad thing. There you can see all the carving. And didn't even notice all that. Well, I noticed some of it, but anyways. So yeah, that's basically how you create a multi-jamma cabinet. Long story short, it's going to cost you some money. You got your cabinet, you got all your game boards, then the final thing you need, your 6-slot JAMMA switcher, extension harnesses, and make sure your switcher has the certain modifications you need. Again, you don't need those extra modifications. If you're okay pressing a little remote to switch to games, no problem, you're good to go. If you are 100% certain that all 6 of your games that you're going to be playing do not have a -5 voltage requirement, and you will not need a -5 voltage requirement for any future games, you're good to go. But you know what? Just spend the extra money, get the modification in there. Or join KLOV, ask around. I'm sure somebody will be able to help you out. So there you are. It's not really too hard. It's fairly easy. It's just going to cost you some money. If you have any questions, let me know. Until next time.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.